Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome to a new episode from Lingua Mead. In this episode we will talk about spoken Egyptian. So I'll give you all what you need to know about spoken Egyptian. The history, the usage, the features, resources, everything. So just follow along and let's start right away. So the first question you might have thought about regarding spoken Egyptian is its identity. What exactly is spoken Egyptian? What's Egyptian Arabic? Is it Arabic language? Is it really Arabic? The answer is no. Okay, the Egyptian dialect is not Arabic. It has a component of this language, which is Arabic, but also it has other components. The Egyptian dialect is a mixture of many languages, okay, that have been integrated into this dialect over the centuries. For example, the first important component is the Arabic language. We have also the component which is the Coptic. Okay, this is the main component, the Coptic. So Egyptians used to talk in Coptic, which is a main derivative of the ancient Egyptian language before even they know Arabic. Okay, so we have the Coptic, we have the Arabic. These are the major components. We have also other minor components that emerged throughout the history, like for example the Greek component, the Turkish component. We have also the Italian, the French, the English, and so on. So in short, the Egyptian language or the Egyptian dialect is a major combination of all these components together. So let's have a small talk about the history of spoken Egyptian. At the beginning, as I told you, Egyptians used to speak ancient Egyptian, transformed into Coptic, which is very similar to ancient Egyptian. And when the Islam came to Egypt, many Arab tribes came from the Arabic Peninsula to Egypt to spread the Arabic language. So Egyptians started to know the Arabic language and use it in order to learn the Quran. This is a major component, so to learn the Quran and to know about Islam in its original language, which is Arabic. So Arabic started to spread in Egypt and started to spread to the degree that it eliminated or mostly eliminated the use of Coptic language. So Egyptians started to use many Arabic terms, and the Coptic terms or the Coptic words started to get back and be used in religious events and so on, but the main use was Arabic. So Egyptians used this kind of combination of Arabic and Coptic with some important notice that many words that are, or many letters that are Arabic in origin, it was very difficult for Egyptians to pronounce. So they used maneuvering and other pronunciation to use or to pronounce these letters. So for example, we don't pronounce the qaf, we pronounce instead. Okay, so instead of qaf, q, we use okay, for example, this is an example. So this was the case. So Egyptians used this combination or mixture between spoken or between ancient Egyptian, which is Coptic, and also Arabic. With the time, there were many other foreign conquests that came to Egypt. For example, the Ottoman and French, English, okay, Greek, Roman, and all these. So all these foreign conquests came to Egypt, and of course they left their fingerprint, which are words that were integrated into the spoken Egyptian. So Egyptians now use the Coptic and the Arabic, and also used many words from these languages. Okay, so they used languages, words related to Roman, to Greek Empire, also used words related to Turkish or the Ottoman Empire, and from French, of course, from the French conquest, and then English, and so on. The result is that all these words integrated together and was among the mixture, the golden mixture that later we refer to as the spoken Egyptian dialect. So many Egyptians are using, without knowing, many words from many languages, like words from Turkish, from Italian, from English, from French. All these combined together in order to give you the mixture of spoken Egyptian. Now we will talk about two important features of spoken Egyptian. The first feature is the, let's say, the ease of use. So Egyptians, when they talk Egyptian, they try to make the easiest shortcut to the spoken word, so that it delivers the meaning in as the easiest way possible, of course, or as easy as it gets, in order to convey the meaning. So they want everything to be very easy and to be very very fast. For example, the word معلش. The word معلش in Arabic, actually it is Egyptian, and it means in modern standard Arabic ما عليه شيء. Actually, Arabs, when they came to Egypt, they start using the Arabic language, which Egyptians found very difficult, really, to pronounce, and very structured and very complex. So they used shortcuts. So they tried to make the language easier, okay, and shorter and more concise. So, for example, a phrase like ما عليه شيء. ما عليه شيء is an Arabic phrase. It means it's nothing against him. So Egyptians used ما عليه شيء here, and they made this word or this phrase concise. ما عليه شيء معلش معلش معلش. So some Egyptians say معلش, some Egyptians say معلش, and both are correct and used, and it means actually ما عليه شيء, nothing about him. And with time, Egyptians started to use this phrase, give this phrase some other uses, like معلش, excuse me, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is actually the origin of معلش. So this is an example that shows you how Egyptians tried to make the language easier to handle, transforming the modern standard Arabic, for example, into a version that is easier and more compatible with Egyptians. I told you before that we say the letters, the Arabic letters, differently a little bit. So the qaf letter, so it's pronounced in modern standard Arabic qaf, we say instead of qaf. Okay, so instead of qala, he said, we say al. قال آل. Okay, there are some exceptions, for example, like Cairo, القاهرة, we use it as it is, القاهرة, the city, Cairo. آل, يقول, to say, instead of يقول, يقول. This is another way that tells you that Egyptians, by nature, they were not prepared to tell or to pronounce the Arabic letters with the same pronunciation the Arabs used to pronounce. So they changed the pronunciation to match them, because they pronounce actually their original language is ancient Egyptian and Coptic. Another example is the grammar. The grammar of spoken Egyptian is much easier than the grammar of modern standard Arabic. Take an example of the dual. Okay, the dual in modern standard Arabic, it has different grammatical positions depending on the word, the position of the word in the sentence. So if the word is a subject or an object. So when we say, for example, in modern standard Arabic, al-waladan or al-waladain, okay, al-bintan, al-bintain, and so on. So this is just a grammatical change based on the position of the word. If it is a subject, it has some grammatical way of saying it. If it is an object, it has another way. In spoken Egyptian, no. There's no kind of differentiation between the object and the subject. So we say, for example, الولدين. Okay, الولدين راحوا, الولدين جم, الولدين. If the الولدين or the two boys, البنتين, if the dual is a subject or an object, there's no problem, or there's no differentiation between subject and object. They have the same grammatical position. Okay, so this gives you an idea about the spoken Egyptian and how it is simple compared to the grammar of modern standard Arabic. This is not just for spoken Egyptian, this is for all dialects. They aim to make the language easier and more suited for communication. So they make the grammar much easier and much more concise compared to the grammar of the main language, which is supposed to be more structured and more complex. Now let's talk about the regional variations. When we talk about spoken Egyptian, I mean in most of my videos, the spoken Egyptian is the dialect of Cairo. Okay, the dialect of Cairo, which is the most important, I would say, in the entire country, because it is the easiest to understand. And also, this is a dialect that is very familiar to Arabs. The dialect that was broadcasted in films, movies, and in songs, and in many shows, and all this across the Arab land. So Arabs used to hear the Egyptian dialect of Cairo from young age. If you talk to a Moroccan, for example, who is not this generation, is the last generation, let's say people who were living or young in their young age in the 70s, okay, or the 60s, okay, so they are actually not fathers, maybe grandfathers or grandmothers, okay, so grandparents. If you talk to them, you will find them very familiar with spoken Egyptian dialects of Cairo. Maybe the young generation not so much, because they didn't have this kind of exposure. But the older generation in Morocco, in Iraq, in Saudi Arabia, in Emirates, in Tunisia, in Algeria, they used to hear spoken Egyptian a lot broadcasted. Okay, so this is very important. And actually, this is just the dialect of Cairo. That doesn't mean that there are no dialects or other dialects in Egypt. No, there are other dialects. For example, we have the Cairo dialects and we have the northern dialects. Like, for example, the dialects of the Delta. Some cities in the Delta, like for example Tanta, or some provinces, الشرقية, الغربية, المنوفية, and so on, they have some slight differences in pronouncing things. We have also some cities on the Mediterranean, they have their own, they are very similar, very close to the spoken Egyptian dialect of Cairo, but you can notice some differences in some words and also their pronunciation. Like Port Said, for example, Port Said, or Port Said, Port Said, or for example Alexandria. If you talk to Alexandrian or a guy from Port Said, you will find the difference. They have this kind of different way of talking. Okay, Egyptians, Cairo people can understand them, and they can understand Caireans very easily, but you can notice the difference. This is another dialect. We have also the dialects of the upper Egypt. If you go down, you find in Suhag, Luxor, Aswan, and so on, this what we call Sa'id, upper Egypt, Sa'id. They have different dialects, okay, and if they talk to each other, we inhabitants of Cairo, we don't understand anything. Okay, we can't understand anything. It's difficult. Okay, so they have their own dialect, but they can talk with Egyptians who are living in Cairo, or they speak the Egyptian, or understand the Egyptian dialect of Cairo very easily. We have also other dialects like in Sinai. Okay, for example, in Sinai, they have the Bedouins in Sinai. They have their own set of dialects. We have also dialects in the west of Egypt, okay, in the western desert, and you have there, for example, the oases of Siwa, Al-Farafra, Dakhla, Al-Kharja, and all this. And people in the oases, they have their own dialects or even languages. You have, for example, Amazigh there in Siwa, okay? And you have also some dialects that are in the very south of Egypt, the Nubian dialects, which are very close to Sudan, okay? And these are also different from the dialects of the upper Egypt, which is Said. This is very south, and it's totally different. So Egypt, like any country, has its set of dialects which are different and which are very versatile. Now let's talk about the reasons behind this fame, the fame of the spoken Egyptian dialect of Cairo. Why it is so famous? Why this status in the Arab land? Why it is very understood by Arabs? Actually, it's historical. There are three main reasons. The first reason is, of course, the media. Okay, during the 50s, 60s, 70s, there were broadcasts of major Egyptian movies and songs and events and broadcasts and shows and all this broadcast to the entire Arab world. So Egypt has its status as the leader in the media production and all this for a long time. And these broadcasts were used to or broadcasted into the different Arabic countries, so Arabs start to hear Egyptian and listen to Egyptian and know Egyptian also actors. They know Egyptian singers and so on. So it is the Egyptian figures were very famous, and the Egyptian media was very famous, that many Arabs became acquainted and used to hear the Egyptian and understand many of its words from the series and from the movies. The second reason, or the second point, is political. The political situation in Egypt was very fundamental during these times, the 50s, 60s, and 70s even. So Egypt has a very sophisticated socio-political influence on the Arab countries. Egypt helped many Arab countries to gain independence. For example, Gamal Abdel Nasser is very well-known Egyptian president and leader across the entire region. Okay, so the situation or the status of Egypt as a very sophisticated political leader and very important political leader, it made its language or its dialect also very important among Arabs. The third reason is related to immigrations. Okay, so many Egyptians used to travel to the Arab countries like the Gulf countries, for example, Saudi Arabia, Emirates, and so on, in order to work and to find work opportunities. There, they used to establish the infrastructure there and build schools and build hospitals and many other projects, major projects. And they started to interact, of course, with the people there, and the Egyptian dialect was transferred there. So you will find that many Egyptians used in Saudi Arabia, for example, lived in Saudi Arabia for some time, and Saudis remember Egyptians. So it is something that is very important to know how Egyptians influenced the life in the Arab region, and of course you will find this reflected into the spoken Egyptian language. Okay, in order to learn spoken Egyptian, you need really good resources, and I have for you two important resources. The first one is my tailor-made Egyptian Arabic Accelerator course, and this course I designed in order to help you speak spoken Egyptian effortlessly. Okay, and you use the material of this course and also conversation sessions with me that are weekly and unlimited in order to secure your understanding and use okay, of spoken Egyptian. Another important resource that I also recommend is an app which is the UTalk. The UTalk is a very interesting app that's used to give you good training and build your knowledge with spoken Egyptian. So if you integrated this app with the Egyptian Accelerator, for example, it will give you marvelous results, I'm sure. Okay, I will put the link to the UTalk app in the description box of this video. We started with the history of spoken Egyptian, and we started with the definition of spoken Egyptian. What is spoken Egyptian, which is a mixture of many languages, and we talked also about its history, descending from ancient Egyptian, the arrival of Arabs and use of Arabic, and then arrival of many other nations, for example, the Romans, the Greeks, the Ottomans, French, English, and the integration of all these languages into the spoken Egyptian. Then we talked also about the different or the features of spoken Egyptian, which is the ease that Egyptians tend to follow in order to speak Egyptian. So they took the modern standard Arabic and tried to make it easy, changing the pronunciation of some letters and making the grammar more tangible, for example, and less complex, in order to make their own tailor-made communication language. We also talked about the different dialects of spoken Egyptian, not just the dialect of Cairo. We talked about the dialects of the Delta in the north, some cities like Egypt, Alexandria and Port Said. We also talked about dialects that are in the south, like the Upper Egyptian and the Nubian. We talked about the dialects in the east, like the Sinai dialects, and also in the west, like the West Desert dialects and the dialects of the Oasis, the Amazigh, like the dialect in Siwa, for example. So these are the major dialects. We also talked about the reasons why spoken Egyptian is so important and so famous. We talked about 3 reasons. The first one is the media, second one is the politics, the third one is the migration of Egyptians into the Arab lands. And the last thing is, of course, the recommended resources like the Egyptian Accelerator and the UTalk app. Thanks a lot for watching this video till the end. If you have any question, write me in the comments below. Don't forget to look at the description box as well and look the important links there. And if you have any question, I'll be very happy to answer you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and see you in a future video.